Hey, what's up guys? Taren here from A-Race, and today we are going to be talking about what you should be eating before a half marathon race. We're going to be breaking it up into what you should be eating the day before a race, what you should be eating the morning of the race, and what you should be eating right around and during the race. So starting the day before a race, a lot of people think that they need to carb load a huge amount for every single race that they do. You actually don't need to carb load quite as much as we originally thought. So basically what I focus on in the week leading up to a race is good quality foods. Lots of veggies, lots of fruit. If you think that it's healthy, it's probably something you should be eating. If you don't think that it's healthy, probably not something you should be eating. Simple as that. But the day before a race is when you do want to start thinking about a little bit more carbs in your diet. Now I say a little bit more carbs in your diet because you really don't need to be going overboard for a half marathon. They only tend to last anywhere between an hour and 2.5 or 3 hours tops. So you need a little bit more carbs, but you don't need a huge amount. I'm not going to give you a specific measurement of how many grams of carbs you should be having the day before race because it's different for everyone. Basically, you should just be having more than you currently have. If you're somebody that has a very carb-focused diet, just have a little bit more. If you're somebody that has more of a primal or paleo diet and you tend not to have many carbs, still just have a little bit more than the carbs that you typically have. The idea isn't getting a certain amount of carbs. The idea is giving your body a little bit more carbs than it typically functions on day to day, basically just topping up the carb levels in your muscles. So what this means for me is the morning before a race, I'll typically have a big bowl of cereal. These are rice checks. I avoid gluten. So my cereal is going to be a rice-based cereal. I'll always put some fruit in it because it's a good source of fiber. It's not a fiber that sits in your gut and can cause digestive issues. This is going to help you metabolize all the food throughout the day. I will snack on things like this Bar Alt Bar. It's a fruit-based bar, but it's got a nice amount of carbs, apples, bananas, stuff like that. My lunch and my dinner are also going to be very carb-focused. I'll use one of two things. It's either going to be a brown rice pasta, again avoiding gluten, or lately I've actually had really good success using sweet potatoes, mashed, chopped, turned into fries. Doesn't really matter. The bottom line of this whole day before carb loading bit is that I'm not changing my diet immense amounts. These are foods that I eat day in and day out. I'll basically just focus on the meals that are more carb dense than protein rich in the day before a race. One thing that I will do in the day before a race is I'll drink a fair bit of water, a lot of water. And I'll put some electrolytes in there. Right now I'm testing out Noon tablets, but it can really be any electrolyte drink. It doesn't matter as long as you're topping your body up on those sodium levels because you're going to be going through them really quickly throughout that race. Now, the morning of a race, you want to eat your last meal 4 hours before your start time. So these foods are literally your bread and butter of what you should be eating the morning of a race. A lot of people are going to have butterflies the morning of a race, and that's okay. You don't need to be eating a huge amount the morning of a race because you should have done it the day before. So what I'll end up doing is it'll either be 1 or 2 slices of rice cakes or toast, a little bit of peanut butter, and then depending on how I'm feeling, either honey or jam. Something that I've had a huge amount of success with lately is actually electrolyte loading the morning of a big workout or race. So while I'm having that toast or rice cake, I'll have just a small amount of water because I've done the water loading the day before, and put what I'm using is the Osmo Preload Hydration Mix. I'll link to the video that I've done on the Osmo Preload Hydration Mix that basically discusses the idea of electrolyte loading, which is more or less just like carb loading and water loading. So have that meal 4 hours before the start of your race. Now what do you do in between that 4 hours and the start of the race? You don't want to be eating a lot. You don't want to be drinking a lot because you've done all that hydrating, electrolyte loading, carb loading in the previous 24 hours here. So you're basically just coasting from there on in. What I do is I fill up a disposable bottle of about 500 milliliters of electrolyte drink. This is the SOS Rehydrate electrolyte. It doesn't have to be this product. It can be whatever electrolyte you use. But the idea is basically just to give yourself something to sip on and stay topped up on that hydration. So sip on that and do it right up until the race, and chuck it in a recycling bin right before you start. Just feel like you're not thirsty, but you also don't want to feel like you have water sloshing around your stomach. Now, in my opinion, this is what gets optional for a race, and it depends a lot on how long you're going to be racing for. For athletes that are taking less than, say, an hour and a half to do any sort of race, you probably don't need any more fuel than what we've done here already. But if you start getting past an hour and a half, you're going to use up pretty much all of your body's energy stores. So you can top up on things like gels and chews. So I'm right on the edge of that. I'm about a 1:30 half marathoner. I'll have a gel about 15 minutes immediately before a race. I'll typically try to make sure that it has some caffeine in it to get a little bit of a kick. Then the question becomes, do you need to have anything during the race? The body has energy stores for about 90 minutes, and up until then, you really don't need to take anything during the race. But if you're going longer than 90 minutes, you might want to think about either taking gels or chews, whatever you have an easier time getting down while you're running. So in the training leading up to the race, you're going to want to figure out what you have an easier time getting down while you're running. One thing that you can do is go to our website where we have a free nutrition calculator, and you can punch in the info and it'll tell you how many calories you're going to go through and how many calories you should be replacing. You want to think about replacing your calories far before you actually get tired or need them. Gels and chews take about 15 to 20 minutes to get into your system. So if you're thinking that you're going to take a gel in the last 20 minutes of a race and it's going to get you through that last 20 minutes, it's really not going to do much. So let's say that you are a 1:50 half marathoner. What do? Well, you certainly don't want to be taking the gel close to the end of the race. Take that gel well before you actually think that you're going to need it. So in the case of a 1:50 half marathoner, take that gel at about 55 minutes or an hour. Each gel or serving of chew gets you through about 25 to 30 minutes. And if you end up going longer, you can scale it up. So let's say you're a 2:10 half marathoner. You might want to push that gel back to about 45 minutes, kicking in at about 1:05. It'll get you through to about 1:35. You can take another serving of the gel or chew, and then that is going to get you through again the last 20 minutes. When you take these, make sure that you take them with a little bit of water. So hopefully that helps you out, gets you across the finish line in a little bit less pain than normal. If you have any questions about this, by all means, put it in the comments section. Check out our website at www.aracenutrition.com and hit us up on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, all at A Race Nutrition. Subscribe to the page if you like these videos. Get out there and kill that next race.